So, well, here we are, smaller grid this time around. It looks like 4Cs on the front row this time, which is different from what we had before. Before we had Lambos and Ferraris all in the front, and then the 4Cs were in the back for the GR3 class. So let's take a look and see what we have at Sardegna B backwards, which I've never done it backwards. So we've got like I said, 2 4Cs on the front row. These are GT3 cars. You can tell because the windshield banner is black, blackity black, and followed by a Ferrari in the third row here. Also a GR3 car. Then we have another GR3, a Lambo. Now the GR4 field starts. GR4 Lambo, GR4 Ferrari, Lambo, Ferrari. Nice. So a little alternating in the placement in the GR4 field. So yeah, kind of a tiny grid overall. 4 cars in each class. We got 50 minutes of racing here to go. Is there no GR4 4C? I don't think there is there? The 4C only comes in GR3, if I recall. And look at this little thing. It's so aggressive. I love it. Look at all the arrow on it. Like, every little bit of this thing screams, I can handle, okay? I'm tiny and I handle, and that's what I know. Look at that diffuser. That is so aggressive. It's like 2 fangs poking out of the back. 4 fangs, actually. It's insane. This thing does handle exactly the way you think it would. It handles the way it looks. All right, cool. So that's a look at the grid. Ooh, nice camera select. Anyway, let's get started with the actual race here. So lights are going green in a moment. It's a standing start. So the cars are going to have to be careful about, the drivers are going to have to be careful about getting off the line. Traction control is allowed, right? I don't remember that being a thing in the rules. In fact, let's bring those up real quick. I don't remember traction control not being allowed per the rules. But we'll take a look and review what is in the rules just in case. So, what doesn't matter is that there were 10 minutes of qualifying. We don't get that. Qualifying is not saved in the replay, so we're not going to be able to see that. We see the grid order after the quali, though. It's a 50-minute race. The tire wear is at 3x. Fuel consumption is also at 3x. There are 2 tires available, and each tire must be used. The racing medium and the racing soft. However, the number of pit stops you can have is not limited. We saw in round 1, a couple of drivers took 2 pit stops and took the soft tires in 2 different stints, and that worked out for them. Where are we? There is a mandatory pit stop now. So, you know, there's not a limit on how many pit stops you can have, but there is a mandatory pit stop. And you can't pit within the first 5 laps of the race. In fact, Bar, can you update me on what happened? Somebody pitted pretty early in someone pitted right on lap 5 from what I recall in the last race. And I'm not sure how that counted, since technically you're still on that lap once you dip into the pits at Sardegna. So how does that work? I mean, technically they would have been going into lap 6. Okay. Traction control is allowed. Heard. But yeah, let me know what happened with that situation. The usual racing rules apply as far as racing cleanly. Make sure you are aware of other drivers ahead of you. There are some penalties, some pretty harsh penalties, in fact, if you do break that covenant, which I agree with. I think online multiplayer racing, especially in a sim racer, should be clean. I think private league racing should be amongst the cleanest. So I'm good with these harsh penalties. Pardon me. Might need to take a sip of water. Anyway, those are the rules of the mini championship. I honestly didn't notice. I will take a look at that. Well, I mean, if the race results were already called, then they were already called, but maybe pay attention to it for other races, I guess, if it does violate the rules. I was just trying to figure out if it was a violation or not. All right, let's get back to this. I'm going to mute real quick and take a couple of gulps of water, and then we'll start the race. All right, y'all ready? I'm ready. Happy 4th, by the way, if you are in America with me. If that's something that you celebrate, happy 4th. I'm at home. But I digress. Let's go. Let's do this. So, green lights are already up, so this is probably going to start immediately. Let's see if everyone gets off to a clean start. Bar did let us know that traction control is allowed, so might be helpful at the start here. That said, all of these cars are mid-engine. They all have the maximum amount of weight that you can have over the rear wheels, and they may not need traction control to get off. Just a good modulation of the throttle. The GR3 Ferrari has the best launch in the class, so let's see how that works for the drivers in Ferraris. Let's make sure we can see all the things. Yes. And now they're green, and we're off. A little bit of twitching from some drivers, but so far so good at the start. Like I said, that Ferrari has a great launch. It has the best launch in GR3, and Vlave, of course, takes full advantage and comes up from 4th place, I believe, on into 1st through with a nice hole shot. Both of the Alphas made it through just fine, and then you've got Panda GT Alpha rounding out the class in the Lamborghini. Now, starting the GR4 field, we've already got a little bit of a fight here between Supra and Bar in the Ferrari there. SPG, we'll just call him Type R. Type R is also right there, followed by Happy Pappy. So both sides of the field nice and bunched up. But let's go back up to the front here. Vlave did get away, but from qualifying, it seems that Vlave's pace is below that of the two drivers behind. So we're going to take a look and see if he's able to... Ooh, yeah, he's already getting challenged here by Doug. And Doug, with the inside for the next couple of corners, should be able to take that position and hold on to it, and does. So Vlave, even though he shot up to 1st place there, already losing that position, and now is going to want to defend 2nd. But maybe not defend too hard, because, I mean, Panda is... actually fairly far back, but not too far back. I'm not sure if something happened to Panda there. Actually, you know what? We can check these things. We can see what happens to people. I think Panda's just been losing it from pretty early on here. So, man, this track is almost unrecognizable backwards, but I think I can piece it together. So we've got an upcoming left-hander here, which is probably going to be difficult. It's a blind crest. Yep. Panda just not looking very smooth. Goes into a flat slide right there, which the Lambo's pretty known for, and all of these slides are losing time. Completely misses the apex there in the second to last corner, and I mean, you can just see it right there. The cars up ahead are all getting away, driving away very, very quickly, and Panda is gonna want to keep it together for the rest of the race here. Nope, sorry. Back to Supra. Supra and Bar going at it already. This is pretty early on in the race, and I like to see it. They're both looking racy, trying to get 1st place. 1st in GR4, that is 5th overall. Bar with the nose up ahead of Supra, but they're going through the S's side by side. Ooh, and Bar into the grass, almost spins it, but ends up saving it. But that is going to give Supra clear air. Luckily, there was nobody really behind Bar to take advantage of that miss there, but Bar just side by side through the S's here with Panda, leaves room, but doesn't get enough turn in, and that obviously, you know, that's what happens. There's not much room outside of the track here. You're usually ending up right in the grass. The curbs are a little bit clipped in some of these sections too. There's not much curb to go up onto. Mostly on the inside. The insides of corners are tough at Sardegna. It poses a bit of a challenge, which is a very interesting challenge, because some of those curves are very abrupt. They're shaped more like bricks, and so they're not really usable at all. I don't think Bar got into any of that, but that was just my ADD brain deciding to talk about curbs. So anyway, Bar racing along. Type R with a little bit of pressure. from Happy Pappy. Pappy's not that far away from Type R. Both are currently on the racing softs, and Type R is going to maybe want to stay behind, catch up, maybe stay in the slipstream, see if you can make a jump in the pits. No need to try to win the race this early on. Now, back up front, Doug's still holding on to first, but Vlave is still holding on to second. Hair Razor's right there, of course, along with them. All just spending time together here at the beginning stint. Ooh, I think, did Vlave? Nope, okay, never mind. I thought there was a bigger gap there than there was. But yeah, all three of these drivers staying together now. Panda still pretty far behind. I can't see the timing splits, unfortunately. I think that's just a broken thing on these replays. But ooh, Panda is having a tough time around the track, as we can see here. And that's just going to lose even more time to the leaders. And so I just don't think Panda's really in the GR3 race. But there's a whole lot of racing to go, and you never know what might happen, especially when drivers are racing close this way. And the fact that we have a pit stop, or a couple of pit stops, you know, depending on the strategy, can always lead to a shuffle in order. Meanwhile, Bar's kind of caught back up to Supra. He's right there. He's within Supra's slipstream, so I expect to see some action coming from these two again pretty soon here. Hey, Takal, how are you? Bar, don't go wide. Ooh, it's Supra. Supra messes up, and that brings Bar even closer. Is Supra? I want to stay with the action here, but I do want to replay that. But I think Supra's got the car back under control, got that back under himself. So let's go back. What happened there? I'm not really sure how far back to go. I think I've gone back too far, but that's all right. We're here. We're here, and we're just going to watch it. We're going to do a chase cam. Let's see if we can catch all four corners of the car. We can see what happened, exactly what happened to Supra there. I think they just went wide and caught the rear wheels out, and that kind of almost got them messed up, but they did get it back together. The GR4 mid-engine cars are pretty forgiving. Even when the back end gets out of shape, they tend to be easy to bring back together. Yeah, I think it's here. Apexes it a little bit early, and yeah, it just goes wide and is still on the throttle in the sand, and that threw the rear end out on him. And of course, here comes Bar right there trying to take advantage of that, but doesn't get a chance. I think Supra was just in a lucky part of the track where Bar could not make a pass. So, whew. A pucker moment. That's what we're gonna call it, a pucker moment. Meanwhile, we've lost somebody in the race. We've lost Type R. Happy Pappy is racing in 7th all alone. Type R was the other GR4 driver. I guess they got disconnected, so unfortunately the GR4 field is now limited to just 3 drivers, and there's a huge gap between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. However, 1st and 2nd and GR4 are still battling it out. In the front, we've still got Hair Razor actually got past Vlave. I want to see that pass. Do y'all want to, you know what, let's do it. We have the ability to do this now, so we're gonna do it. That's it. We're coming up right here. We're gonna go from Hair Razor's point of view. Looks like it's just a slipstream pass. He just gets the inside through this front straight, and then it is a right-hander. So what happens? He just gets ahead. Just easily gets ahead. There was no real magic to it or anything like that. Vlave still trying to dip a nose in there, maybe just trying to turn in early enough to not get caught out by dirty air though. But Hair Razor gets that position, and we know Hair Razor has more outright pace than Vlave, just according to their starting positions. But you know, race pace and outright pace are different. Qualifying is not racing. Meanwhile, 4C teammate Doug Barrow is still right up there, and I think Hair Razor is gonna do well to just chill and hang out behind Doug as they did in round 1. And if I recall correctly, I think Hair Razor ended up not winning, but ended up finishing up ahead of Doug, if I recall correctly, about round 1. Anyway, nice pass. Well done to regain the positions that they started with. You know, Vlave did get that advantage, that Ferrari GR3 takeoff advantage there, but it didn't hold up over the course of the first 5 laps. And who was that just set the fastest lap? Is that Hairraiser? Hairraiser just goes fastest and was side by side with Doug for a second there. I think Hairraiser decided, never mind, I'm not going to do that. We have an enemy behind. And way behind, still in GR3 is Panda. 4th place points, of course, still up for grabs. I believe there are championship points, but Panda is just not in the race. Has not been able to keep that Lambo together. That said, Panda's on a different compound. Panda's on the mediums, as you can see here. Meanwhile, everyone up front is on the racing softs. So during a pit stop, I'm guessing that Panda's going to stop and take the faster tire and might make up a lot of this time on that. But we saw there were quite a few issues, a few mistakes on the track. So it's looking like Panda's also going to suffer through inconsistency. Ooh, Supra. Bar still at it. Ooh, careful, Bar. Bar with just one wheel into the kitty litter there for a moment, but he's back out and still up in Supra's slipstream. Now, I'm going to stay and watch for a little bit. I want to see, is Bar making moves? Bar, I know you're watching. Obviously, don't spoil it. Is Bar making moves on Supra, or is he just chilling? What just happened, Bar? What? I put you on TV, and you mess up. What happened? So we looked okay here. Oh, I see. Yep. Into the sand, into that speed trap there, which, I mean, it's a trap, right? That's its whole point. It's to slow you down so you don't hit that wall at a very, very high rate of speed. And so Bar ended up in it, got those tires dug into it, and almost lost the car, in fact, just trying to get back out. But luckily, is still together here. Now, that puts Happy Pappy back in the race. Does it put Bar completely out of the race with Supra? I mean, Supra's not too far up the road, but it's a distance. I mean, he's a little dot right there in the front straight. It would take Supra making a big mistake for Bar and Happy to catch up here. So now Bar's going to need to be careful not to get caught by Happy. Uh-oh. Thought I saw Happy go wide there, but nope, that was not what I saw. So a little Supra, little Ferrari Lambo battle here. Some more Ferrari Lambo battling, by the way. I mean, not by the way. I don't know. Words are hard, okay? Words are very difficult. Meanwhile, the 4Cs, I mean, I wouldn't say they're getting away from Vlave, but they've definitely put a gap on him. He's not in a fight with them. He's not even in their slipstream at this point. It's going to take some real driving by Vlave to catch up to them, but the 4Cs are really fast in twisty stuff, and maybe in the straights, Vlave will have a little bit of an advantage, but I don't even think it's that much of an advantage, as the Ferrari isn't known for its straight line speed. So in stuff like this, the 4C just excels. It's a really nice car to drive. It's very little, and yet, like, I don't know, like, its wheelbase is kind of long for what it is, I guess. But the point is, you can kind of just slide it into corners easily if you need to slide it into something. It will stay balanced for you. It stays predictable. It's just slow in a straight line. Otherwise, it's a gem to drive. Love being in that little thing. And tracks like this are where it really excels. I mean, you can just see we were on board with Vlave there. And in some of those corners, the 4Cs just really completely get away from the gap is getting even bigger. However, we're coming up on the straight again, and Vlave might be able to make up some time here, especially if he gets a really good exit. It's a fairly long straight, but you can tell he's further away on this straight than he was on the last one. And I think that trend is going to continue unless he finds something in the corners here with this Ferrari. Let's take a look at people's tire wear. So we were just on board with Vlave. Let's go up front. We'll start with Doug. Those racing softs in the front starting to wear a bit, especially the front left, which makes sense. This track is, I mean, it's got a lot of left-handers, of course, but at the end of the day, it's still a clockwise track. So you're basically turning right a lot. So that front left and actually the rear left as well, showing more wear than the right-hand side of the car. So that, you know, obviously that's going to have an effect on all the cornering. Hair Razor is kind of in a similar boat, but his tires are doing a little bit better, especially, well, actually all four corners are doing a little bit better than Doug's. So here's where Doug is as far as tire wear goes, and here's where Hair Razor is. So Hair Razor's kind of been taking it easy. That makes sense, though. He's been following in Doug's slipstream, which means he's probably braking a little bit earlier rather, for corners, and cornering less hard rather into the corners as well through that dirty air. So I think he's just done a good job saving tires there. I think he saved a lot of fuel. Not a lot of fuel over Doug, but a little bit, just being in his slipstream as well. Flav's tires, meanwhile, looking a lot like Doug's. Right-hand side showing a lot of wear. Pretty even between the front and the back, though, which is nice because, again, this is a mid-engine car. All these cars are mid-engine, so a lot of weight is distributed more evenly between the front and rear tires on these cars than they are on the front engine cars. And so the wear between the front and back, not too bad. Bar, power too early. Well, whatever you did, it happened. Now the GR4 cars, their tire wear is a little bit different. I think these cars are just tuned differently as far as suspension goes, and that makes sense. They won't have as much suspension, as much range in their suspension setup as the other cars, and so even though all these cars use the BOP setup, I believe there's no tuning allowed, if I recall correctly from the rules. The suspension setup on the GR4 cars is probably less aggressive, and therefore the tire wear is a little bit different. Now, on these, it's more traditional. You see more wear on the fronts for Supra than on the rears. It probably would be worth it to kick that brake bias a little bit to the rear in this car, especially since the GR4s don't really oversteer like that into braking. Like the GR3 Lambo, I would never suggest somebody put their brake bias on the rear, because I think that would just make it completely unstable into braking. But for the GR4, you'd probably be able to get away with it and save those fronts a little bit more. But, you know, whatever. Bar's tires don't look good at all. I mean, they don't look horrible, but again, a lot more wear on the fronts. That front left, look at that right there. He's leaning into that that right hander there. You saw there's a lot of work being done by that front left tire, that driver's side tire. So that tire seeing a lot more wear here. Fuel-wise, he's doing a little bit better than Supra. He did have a nice slipstream from Supra for a while. Happy, meanwhile, has the best out of everybody. Tires, more fuel than anybody. Happy's doing well. He's just in last place. So I don't know if that's going to translate to anything for him here. But and a moment. That is the look at our field as far as fuel and tires. I think Vlave is back closer. And as I said that, Vlave fishtails a little bit out of control. And so we'll lose whatever time he had made up right before I said that. What happens there? There's a little kink there before turn one. I think he just caught too much curb. Yep, just caught a little bit too much of that curb, and it threw the car off a little bit. The mid-engine GR3 cars, specifically like the Ferrari, the Lambo, the Audi sometimes, they can be pretty sensitive about your curbs and how much curb you take. If you watch my stream, no, I didn't stream that here, but if you follow GT Champions, I stream for them on Saturday nights on YouTube, you saw one of the Ferrari drivers consistently eat it at the curb at Westfield at Brands Hatch, and it's the same principle. These cars aren't great over large curbs, or you just can't apex them that hard. You just can't eat that much of the apex. Wow, Wow, we got Happy Pappy being overtaken here in a lap maneuver. Just blue flags happening there, and Happy's going to let the first and second place battle go through pretty easily, and is going to need to let Vlave go through as soon as it's safe to do so. Vlave should be easily past him here in the straight, though, so that's not a problem. Vlave using as much of a slipstream from him as he possibly could, and then, of course, Happy pops in behind to get a slipstream as well. Bar, what's going on? That's not the track. I'm so glad I caught that. I'm so glad I caught that, so I can just put you on blast easily. So here comes Bar, also into turn one. Turn one seems so tough in this direction. This is also where we just saw Vlave almost take himself out in the last lap, just a slightly different reason. But Bar getting back on track there. Happy Pappy passed by Vlave, like we said. Doing well right there, but having some issues in GR3 here. Supra is clear and away from Bar. You see Bar just barely coming into the frame at the back of that view there. So all Supra has to do is maintain at this point up until that pit stop. Can I see? We are 16 minutes into the race, so it's a 50-minute race. So not too far from the halfway point, but not that close either. There's still 10 minutes of racing left to go. I'm guessing that since no one has pitted yet, most people are probably going with a one-stop strategy. We'll see if anyone breaks that mold, because some of these tires are looking pretty bad. Some of these softs are not doing great on the track here. Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice. We lost we lost our GR3 Lambo driver. I don't remember who that was. My brain is completely drawn a blank. Panda. Sheesh. We lost Panda. So I was going to say Panda's on the mediums, and I want to see how they're holding up, but we don't have a Panda to look at. So 3 cars in each class, 2 4Cs, and a Ferrari in the GR3 class. A Lambo being passed. Did we? Oh, no, sorry, that's Supra. Okay, that's Supra getting blue flag passed here by the leaders. For some reason, I was like, didn't we just see this? No, that was Happy. Yeah, in GR4, we've got a Lambo, a Ferrari, and another Lambo on the track. So 3 cars, each class. 17 minutes into a 50-minute race around Sardegna B, and we might be starting to get separated a little here. Hellraiser's not too far from Doug. May be able to push to get back into Doug's slipstream, but he's clearly out right now. But this is probably the most spread out that the GR3 field has been all race long. I don't even see Vlave. There he is. Just cutting through that GR4 traffic is what's caused all this separation here. And that's the beauty of multi-class racing. Yeah, Hellraiser's already getting closer to Doug here, especially in the slipstream. He's definitely in Doug's slipstream, and we'll be back right there, able to save fuel again and keep saving tires. But all these cars having to go through the GR4 field has caused a lot of separation between them, and like I said, that's the beauty of multi-class racing. It's even if you do everything perfectly, and you racing great with somebody for 10, 15 laps, as soon as you hit traffic, you know, it can throw everything out the window. Unless you hit traffic in a really lucky spot, like maybe it's a straight where you both pass pretty easily. But Vlave now almost entirely out of the GR3 race again, just super far away from the 2 4Cs and really suffering with tire wear now on that left-hand side, as you can see here. So turns like this one are gonna be tough to make. He's gonna have to go through them pretty slowly. Doug's in the same boat. You can hear all that squealing on this right-hander here. So GR3 cars starting to see a lot of tire wear. Are they going to dip in, or are they going to the halfway mark? The 4Cs do not come in, and the Ferrari does not come in. So there are 5 more minutes. They're going to do 5 more minutes on these tires. It looks like it's going to be a one-stop strategy for them. Meanwhile, our GR4 leader Supra also not coming in, and I don't think Bar or Happy Nappy will either. But the lap times have gotten pretty long. Well, Supra actually hasn't been doing too bad. So his best lap was in lap 5. It was a 127.5. And his last lap here was a 128.9. He did dip into the 29s for the last couple of laps before that. But to get back to a 28.9 isn't that big of a spread in lap time for Supra. So I can see why he decided to stay out. Bar, it's going to be a little hard to tell because I know Bar's had a couple of offs. And yeah, those lap times are kind of wavery. Best lap so far is a 127.9 back in lap 6. And I would probably say that lap 12 time, the 128.5, is probably most representative of his actual pace right now, which is 6/10 slower. That's not too bad over a stint to lose 6/10 in speed there. Commentator's curse replay version. Right. I am definitely talking. I didn't know what you meant by voice question mark. And wow, I did some of my best commentating there. Wow. Wow. Does that mean my whole explanation of what was going on with Vlav's car was lost? Because I'm going to cry. You can tell me, though. Like, tell me. I can handle the truth. But tell me if that's what just happened. Hair Razor's in. So, with Hair Razor coming in, that'll be the end of pit stops for the GR3 field. Meanwhile, the GR4 field, nobody is pitted yet. So, just GR3. Wow, that's just what happened. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, maybe it'll come up again. Otherwise, I'm sorry you missed it. It was pretty long and drawn out. That was when my OBS seemed like it was frozen, and I was trying to mute the mic so I could cough, and it didn't seem to be working, but I guess it worked, and when it unfroze in the mute position. So that sucks. Anyway, Hair Razor comes out of the pits in second place, comes out behind Doug, but ahead of Vlave. So Vlave was a bit too far behind to really make a move there, and is going to have to get through some traffic. It's Happy. Happy owes a pit stop and is in a much slower car, so those tires aren't that great. Vlave easily makes a pass into the start-finish straight, and that's good for him. Happy still not in. Looks like Bar is going to be the first one to come in for the GR4 cars to take tires. Now, Bar is on the softs. Is he going to do what we saw Doug do? Doug started on the softs and pitted early, a little bit earlier than the halfway mark. Because, I mean, it looked like the softs were just falling off, so I didn't really understand anyone going to the halfway mark in 25 minutes. But he pitted a little bit earlier and took another set of softs at that pit stop. So I think that Doug is planning to just get as much speed out of that car as possible and then, you know, take a set of mediums towards the end. Ooh, that was Happy in the sand a little bit there, but none the worse for the wear. But he should probably pit soon. Meanwhile, Doug, like I said, back out on the softs, comes out ahead of teammate Hair Razor and Vlave, and so is going to have a lot of speed. Hair Razor and Vlave are both on the mediums, so Doug really just going for this strategy. I'm about to go as fast as I can for another long stint on the softs, and then I'll take a set of mediums and defend from there. But probably not a bad idea. I don't think the pit stop is that long here. Well, I mean, pit lane is pretty long, actually. That's not true. But you know what? Supra's in. Why don't we take a look at just about how long it takes Supra to get through pit lane. He enters here. Man, close to 20 seconds before he even gets into the pit stall. Now, tire change only takes a couple of seconds, and if for a quick tire change, Doug would be on the way out here, which shouldn't be too long, not as long as coming in, but obviously Supra's got to stop for fuel as well. But a pretty long drive through the pit lane, but coming out is very short, so I mean, we're looking at less than 30 seconds for Doug to jump in for some mediums and jump back out, if that's the strategy by the end of this stint here. Doug, we can't tell what the gap is, unfortunately, but we do know that Doug's gap should continue growing to Hair Razor and Vlave, since they're both on the medium tires, like we said. So we'll see if he's able to get enough of a buffer to jump in and take the mediums in time to still meet the requirements of the race, as you do have to take the mediums at least once and stay ahead of Hair Razor and Vlave. Hair Razor and Vlave, even if they come out close to Doug, will be on worn mediums by the end of that stint, though they may not be too worn. We'll see. I don't know how the mediums wore over the course of an entire stint, because we did lose the only driver who was on them, unfortunately. Now, GR4. Happy is at the front of GR4, but that's because he hasn't pitted yet. This is Supra, who has pitted and was in first place and looks like is going to take first place back because Happy has to pit at some point. Happy is still staying out, though. Supra is pulling up in his slipstream. Supra on the mediums, Happy on worn, very worn softs. I wonder if Supra will be able to outbreak him into turn one here, though, even on fresh mediums, and it doesn't look like it. It looks like Happy's able to hang on right there, but I do wonder when he's going to decide to pit. We are more than halfway through the race at this point, and Happy is on the soft still. They're super worn out. Where's Bar? Is Bar close by? Doesn't look like it. He's about to get passed by Doug, our first place driver. That's not a pass for position. That's a blue flag pass. And so that means Bar is being lapped by a leader. This isn't a pass for position. Do not fight, basically. Now, Bar is allowed to try to fight back and unlap himself, but that's probably not going to be possible. They're in two different class of cars. Bar's in the GR4 Ferrari. You can tell with the white banner across the windshield there. Meanwhile, Doug is in a GR3 Supra, and therefore faster. Okay, in race cars, the smaller the number, the faster the car. That's what we're deciding, at least in the FIA. Where are we? So yeah, big gap between Doug and second. Big gap between second and third. Hairraiser. I don't think Hairraiser's even within Vlav's view. No, he's not. This is the corner Vlave was having a ton of trouble with earlier, though. Kept losing the rear end of the car. Now it's together. Looks like getting some fresh rubber on the back end has helped. If you, well, what I was reviewing before, I don't know if you caught that just from the camera angles I was hitting. Vlave was losing the back end of that car in a lot of corners, especially the slower ones, towards the end of that first stint. That Ferrari, all these cars are mid-engine, and the Ferrari is kind of notorious for oversteer into braking sometimes. It's gotten a lot better, but earlier in the game, with previous physics models, it was almost impossible to drive for anyone but aliens, really. But you saw Vlave having a lot of trouble keeping the back end of that car together into these corners, as the rear tires had almost completely worn. And he had no grip back there. The key, what was going on, just looking at his braking and the like, was that one, he wasn't braking in a straight line. With these mid-engine cars, especially as you lose grip in the rear end, ooh, a little too much curb there. Big slide. Big slide there. Let me catch that from his angle. Not quite it. Was that not it? Is it this corner? Yep, catches the inside. This is what I was talking about earlier in the race. Hold on, we'll get back to his braking in a second here. Earlier in the race, I talked about some of the curbs around here being real like brick-like. They're not smooth curbs like what you would expect to see. What are you doing, Tati? That's not what you meant to do. What are you doing? This is what you meant to do, but why are we looking backwards? There we go. So we're going to get closer to this curve, and if you look at it, it's not like that long, smooth transition that you expect to see. It's not what you see from most of the curbs on the outside of these turns. If you look on the inside of that curb, it just falls away sharply into the grass. And so what happens when you take a tire off of it is that it hooks into the curb, right? And that slingshots the car and makes it slide, because I mean, it'd be like driving fast on the freeway, right? Like, we're going 116 mile an hour right now. 116. Imagine dropping your right side wheels off of a curb, right? Like a good 3-4 inches, and then it hooks the tires. That's basically what happened to Vlave here. He gets those right-hand side tires off of... Can I look backwards with this arrow key? No, not in the replay. Damn it. But perhaps we can see it in photo mode. Let's see. Is it just the front wheel then? Right now, it looks like it's on its way. I didn't go far enough, but it's on its way to falling off. And you can see right here in this mode, you can see just how sharp that fall off is. And what happens is it hooks that wheel, and then it slingshots the car to the outside of the corner. There we are. There we are, falling away there. And then you end up with a big old slide. Look at the angle. Look at his steering angle versus the direction the car is going in for a second. He is sliding. Big flat slide. All four wheel sliding. He does catch it. It wasn't that bad, but a pucker moment, again, for sure. You have to be careful around some of these short brick-like inside curves at this track, because they'll throw your car. Anyway, back to braking in a straight line in these mid-engine cars. So especially with this Ferrari, by the way, Happy is finally pitting with 4% fuel left in there. We're going to see what cars he comes out in. So when you're braking in these cars, when you've lost grip in the rear end, you have to brake as straight as possible because the engine is in the back. It's not all the way back over the back axle, but it's on top of it pretty much, right? On top of it and slightly forward of it. That's what makes a mid-engined car. And so you have a lot of weight in the back. And when you've lost grip in the back, that weight wants to come around on you. So when you're braking, you got to brake in a straight line so you don't encourage all that booty. You don't want to encourage it to slide left or right. You want to keep it as neutral as possible into the braking, because all of your weight transfers forward when you brake. And if most of the weight in the car is in the back, that weight wants to come to the front. You're going to spin. So if you keep it as straight as possible, you're going to limit your chances of spinning it. But also in these cars, especially cars like the Ferrari, sometimes it helps to get on the throttle a little bit sooner than you would expect. After you do all that straight line braking, start giving it a little bit of throttle so that you can transfer the weight back to the rear of the car and put the grip back on the rear tires before you lose it. And that will often keep you driving through the corner. You would see this more often with old Porsches. Like new Porsches have all this electronic wizardry. You know, you got your stability management, blah, 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 all this technology that keeps you from killing yourself. However, old Porsches didn't have none of that. And those are true rear engine cars. They're not even mid-engine. That means the engine is not just on top of the rear axle, it hangs out behind the rear axle. So again, you got a lot of weight, a lot of booty in the back of the car, and those old Porsches, you have to brake in a straight line. And some drivers will also opt to just never get off the throttle in a corner in cars like the Ferrari, in cars like the old Porsches. Not saying that they stay full throttle in the braking, but they keep a little bit of throttle on just to keep a little bit of weight on the back of the car to keep it from coming around on them. Vlave was having a lot of trouble doing that, and that's what caught him out several times at the end of that last stint, and that's why this gap between him and first and second is so big. By the way, Doug just pitted, and as if to emphasize my point, Vlave still can't even see Doug on track. Doug is several corners up and has come onto the racing mediums now. With 36 minutes into the race, I don't Bar, is there a minimum drive time on the tires? That's not mentioned in the rules, but I do wonder why he didn't stay out on the softs longer. I would have stayed out on the softs much longer than that. Let's see. Tires available. Racing medium, racing soft. Both must be used within the duration of the race. There's a mandatory pit stop, right? You can't stop pit within 5 laps of the race. So I'm guessing within the first 5 laps and within the last 5 laps, correct? Is that what the rule is? Doug making a blue flag pass on Bar, who's sitting in second place in GR4. By the way, what tires did Happy come out on? Happy comes out on the mediums, along with Bar and Supra. So all 3 GR4 drivers are on the mediums. Their race is super spread out here. We're with Supra now, who is in first place in class. You can see his arrow on the map on the right is red. Bar is way behind there. Now we're on Bar, and way further than that is Happy Pappy. So the GR4 race, very spread out. Now Bar has a chance to catch Supra if Supra messes up. He's only like a corner and a half ahead of him at any part of the track. So there's still a chance for Bar. There's a lot of racing to go, but I don't think Happy Pappy's in this race at all. Meanwhile, in GR3, we've got Hair Raiser up front, who inherited first place when Doug Barrow pitted to take the mediums. Doug is pretty far back, 2-3 corners back from Hair Raiser, and I haven't seen Hair Raiser make a mistake yet. So I think he's got the consistency and the pace, and so it's going to be all Doug can do to kind of hold on to second there. Vlave, meanwhile, even further back from Doug than Doug is to, well, maybe actually pretty even. Vlave is pretty far back from Doug as well. So the GR3 race, just as spread out. The only two cars we see kind of racing together here aren't even racing. It's Doug coming up on Supra, and he will make that pass easily, as he is in a completely different class car and they're not racing one another at all. So other than that, we've got no action going on at the moment, but I mean, 11 minutes of racing to do. 11 minutes of racing left. You don't know what might happen. You don't know. You don't know. What I do know is Doug took those softs. Doug took the mediums too soon. I'm just saying. You already had to take a second pit stop, right? Regardless, we're going to have to take a second pit stop. I would have spent as much time on the faster tire as humanly possible. But that's just me. The mediums seem to be holding pretty well. Vlave and Hair Raiser have been on them the longest, and you can see not too much tire wear here. Like we said, about 11 minutes left in the race, and I don't expect to see too much more wear on those tires. On the GR4s, they should wear even better for them, so everyone should finish this race okay and not be as squirrely as they were on the worn softs earlier in the race here. But Hair Raiser is absolutely running away with first place here after spending most of the first stint in Doug Barrow's shadow, just chilling, waiting for a chance, I suppose, and has gotten that chance now, and it's definitely his race to lose. The gap is humongous. Just taking a look at fuel here, I think everybody should be good on fuel in GR3. Bar is pretty low on fuel in GR4 compared to his competitors, and I don't know if that is on purpose or what. Has a little over a quarter tank of gas left. Now, like I said, it's only 10 minutes of racing. Bar pretty aggressive on those short curves there. I guess that's one way to do it if you put the entire car on top of it. The GR4 cars are a bit more compliant as far as suspension goes than the GR3s, though they're not as stiff. So maybe that Ferrari can absorb that curve a little bit better than the GR3, because we saw Vlave did not make it too well through there. Anyway, yeah, Bar's fuel strategy is a thing. Now, if a quarter tank is all you need to finish up the race, good on him. His car is going to be absolutely lighter than anybody else in the field. But it looks like both Supra and Happy filled up to half a tank at the pit stop. Ooh, Happy about to go around. Doesn't end up spinning completely, but had a moment there. It looks like both of them filled up to halfway, while Bar filled up to less than, but maybe Bar has done some fuel calculating and knows that he didn't need that much. Everyone in GR3 has similar amounts of fuel to finish the race out. Those cars do use more fuel than the GR4s and probably have different capacities, so I don't know if we can even compare their capacities as far as a numbers to number thing. We'll see. Bar, can you did you hear my question about the tire thing? So I know the rule is that you can't pit within 5 laps of the race. I know for sure at the start. What about at the end? Can you pit within 5 laps left? I don't know if that's what you were answering when you put yes there. I think you were answering that you couldn't hear me. Doug is around, in the grass and around, and that's the second time we've seen him do that there. In fact, just this last lap, he dipped a wheel back out there, and I thought to myself, he keeps on going wide there, and he's done it again. So wide into that turn 1 kink. Maybe just being aggressive about the way he takes it, but he's going to have to slow that down. Not really in danger of losing second place just yet. Vlave is pretty far away, but spins are slow, and here we are sliding into a corner again, which could have easily turned into a spin there. I think Doug is going to want to take a deep breath, calm them nerves, and get the car back under him. Just kind of keep it together. Just finish the race at this point. There's not really a chance at first. First place is way too far up the road. But, you know, if you put it into a wall too many times, you're going to lose second. Vlave is still out here, and Vlave is doing pretty well from what I've seen. I haven't seen too many issues when we're looking at his car here. This track looks genuinely hard backwards. In fact, Vlave is coming into the last corner. I'm gonna go on board. Let me just see what a lap around here looks like from the driver's point of view. We're coming out onto the front straight here. Should get a nice slipstream from Supra. Nope, Vlave doesn't want it. Not even gonna take it. That's fine. He has the speed, but start finish straight right in here, and I recognize this corner backwards for sure. Very interesting transition into turn 1. That's interesting, but it's pretty straight. It looks like a pretty straight line braking zone. And then you've got these downhill, almost 90-degree right-handers. Actually, looks like more than 90 degrees, to be honest. Those corners are not easy uphill. Downhill, it seems incredibly tricky. We've seen these cars have so much trouble in that downhill cornering section that we just saw Vlave drive through. This part should be pretty straightforward. Full throttle up here, and then a blind crest into a kind of slow left-hand sweeper. And then back on the throttle, downhill right-hander coming up. It's towards the end of the lap here. Looks like the line is a late apex, but I think Vlave missed the apex on it. But that seems about right to me. It's kind of a late apex going forwards as well. And then through the starting S's and the last turn, which we normally know as turn 1. Pardon me again, I'm taking another sip of water. That is a lap around Sardegna B backwards. Can't believe I waited until the 46th minute to show y'all that. We are almost done with this race, y'all. The race ends at the 50-minute mark, and right now it's looking like our finishing order is set in stone. Everyone's very spread out. You can look on the map on the right there. No one is really close to anyone. The two cars that are kind of close aren't even in the same class. That's Pappy and Doug. But yeah, we're looking at Hair Raiser up front, followed by Doug in second. and then Flav in third for the GR3 crowd. And GR4 Supra has been up front for pretty much the entire race. He was battling with Bar for quite some time there, but Bar never quite made that pass stick. Ooh, Bar sliding right there, and luckily doesn't slide too far past the track, but that's one of those tough corners. It's one of those downhill corners I told you about at the start of the lap. They're tough, and it looks like everyone's been having trouble with them. But Bar in second place in GR4, and then Happy, who's been in last the entire race, that hasn't really had anyone to race, but will hold on for third place points in GR4, as this is a small grid today. Small grid of racers, so big points for anyone as long as you finish the race. That's all you got to do is finish it up. Oh my god, I'm being raided. Hey Rush, thank you for the raid. Y'all will be disappointed to know there's only 2.5 minutes left in this race. I'm commentating, recording some commentary on a replay for a race, and it looks like it's pretty much done. I was just going over it for everybody. Thank y'all for jumping in if you want to see the end though. But as you can see, the field is pretty spread out. We got a multi-class race here. We got 3 GR3 cars, Hairraiser in first, Doug in second in the GR3 4Cs, and then Flav in third in the GR3 Ferrari. Ooh, I got a follow. Thanks, Monkey Mafia, for the follow. And 3 GR4 cars, Supra in first place for GR4, has been holding on to that all race long. Has held on to it through the first stint and the second. Bar in second place, and then Happy Pappy in a Lambo all the way in the back there. And the cars, the checkered flag rather, should be waved in about 45 seconds, but I think Hairraiser is going to have to take another lap. I think he's going to pass the start-finish straight before 45 seconds, unless he just slows down dramatically here. He could stop the race right here by just slowing down. Just hit the brakes, Hairraiser. No, he's probably not going to do that. So we'll have another lap, and that'll be the last lap of this race. Some drivers will get the checker flag earlier. Hairraiser flashing his lights to Bar to let him through. Bar, meanwhile, remember, Bar had taken way less fuel than everyone else in the class and is running very, very low now, and is in danger of running out because Hairraiser didn't slow down and didn't stop the race. So Bar has to go another lap, and as you can see, he's got just a sliver of fuel there, but he has a lot of space between him and Happy Pappy. Unfortunately, we can't see the gap because it's broken in replays, but I think he's got enough of a gap that he could really tiptoe that car along in, you know, even map 5. He is still revving it all the way out, but I'm sure he trusts that he's going to make it on fuel. Meanwhile, the race has been called for Doug Barrow, who's going to finish in second. Flav is about to cross the line and finish up in third here. Supra coming around the couple of last corners will soon also cross for fourth, and which is first in the GR4 class, followed by Bar. Happy has already been shown the checkered flag. His race is over in 6th place. Monkey Mafia, this is a league. Let's see. Bar, are you still in here? Bar would be who you talk to about joining. If he can hear me. But let me see. Let me see if I can invite you to the server. Like, maybe there's a welcome screen. Hey Rush, how's it going? Thanks for the raid, by the way. Thank y'all for watching that race. That was fun. That was a fun race to commentate on. I'm looking to see well, you know what? Here's an invite to the server. I don't hear Bar, but Monkey Mafia, click on that, join the Discord server, and look around there and find how you join. This is called the mini challenge, this league. But if you just go to general and ask, hey, how do I join the racing? You will get answers. Bar's having connection issues and can't comment. But yeah, so just join the server there. In any case, I'm really sorry that I'm not staying on. I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry that you missed the brunt of my stream, but this is it. This is the end. I'm going to eat something. I'm starving, and then I'm going to sleep. So thank you all again for joining. I really appreciate y'all being here, and we'll see you next week. Bye now.